Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Welcome to episode 130 of the IT Career Energizer podcast. My guest on today's show is Antonio Leiva. Antonio is an experienced software engineer, trainer, and speaker who specializes in Android development. Antonio is also author of the book Kotlin for Android Developers. So, Antonio, can I ask you to expand on that brief intro and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me. And so I've been working as a software developer for more than 10 years now. And most of them, and many of them, the last ones, have been focused on Android development. And it was like 4 years ago, more or less, that I decided to start learning about Kotlin, which is the book that you mentioned. And for the ones that don't know about it, Kotlin is a language that was created by JetBrains. And that at the point where I started learning about it, it was still a preview language. And on Android, the problem we had is that we have to work with a very old version of Java, which was not ideal when compared with other great languages that exist today. So when I discovered Kotlin, it opened up a world of possibilities, and it was so great that I decided to start writing a book about it, and even not knowing whether the language would succeed or not, because, as I mentioned, it was still a preview. But luckily, as of today, Kotlin is an official language to develop Android apps. So lots of companies are doing the migration and already using it on their code. So even if my main goal nowadays is to help other Android developers to boost their careers, I'm currently focused on helping them and their companies to migrate from Java to Kotlin. I've been doing that while working for other companies for some years, but last September, I decided to focus 100% on my project, and that's where I am right now. I'm helping developers and companies to learn this language.
Okay, I don't know a lot about Kotlin. Is it a language that is growing in popularity?
Yeah, it's a language that the JetBrains team, the one that creates IDEs like IntelliJ or they have many different IDEs for different languages, but IntelliJ is the most popular one. And they decided to create a language to replace Java for them, because they had most of their code base in Java, but it was not being powerful enough for them. So they decided to create this language, and at the same time, they made it open source and started creating it, building up from scratch and releasing the previews they had. And from that moment, it started growing in popularity, especially in the Android community, because of what I mentioned, that we have to use a very old version of Java. But with Kotlin, as it runs on the Java virtual machine, it can be used to substitute Java in Android development. And the real boost in their popularity was when Google decided a couple of years ago to support it as another supported language to develop Android apps. So that
right.
was an important moment for the language.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, Antonio, can you perhaps share a career tip with the IT Career Energizer audience, one they may not know and perhaps should?
Yeah, I feel that the IT industry is really demanding, and that we are always targeting what the big figures in our sector are doing, and I think personally that this is a big mistake. I see a lot of frustration between developers that are starting, and I think this is because we start putting effort or things that may be not aligned with our values or the lifestyle that we would like to have. I want to explain this a little more. For instance, we may see that people that we admire are working on Google or Facebook or other companies on Silicon Valley, and maybe what we will do is to try to focus on achieving that, to then realize that this is not what we really want. Maybe you prefer to be closer to your family, your people, and a remote work would be much better. So what I usually recommend for people that are starting is that you sit down, that you think about your future, about what you really want to achieve, and then build up a plan based on that. Check your values, what moves you, what's important for you, and from that you can build the future you want. But again, you don't have to follow what others are doing just because it seems the right way to go. Everyone can have their own path, and I think that's important to have it in mind.
Absolutely, it is. I also think, just adding to what you've just said, I think that although you may set out with an initial plan, I think you need to review that on a regular basis and update it potentially based upon your circumstances at the time or your thoughts on where you want your career to go as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Antonio, can you maybe tell us about your worst IT career moments and what you learned from that experience?
Yeah, so I don't think that I have a very remarkable bad moment, but of course I had some very typical, like releasing something that was wrong or committing a mistake that would affect a good bunch of users. But those are things that happen to everyone, and the whole company usually learns a lot from them. But there's one specific thing that impacted me especially, as I'm not a native speaker, a native English speaker, and I haven't lived abroad. My English is not perfect, as you can realize here, and this has been a limit to me and has made me lose some good opportunities. But the problem is not that, because I think that rejecting me only for that was not the best option for there either. But this is something that hit my confidence quite a lot, and at that point, the imposter syndrome really shook me, and I even considered to stop doing things in English and only help developers in my mother tongue, which is Spanish.
Yeah.
But then I remember why I'm doing all that, and my goal is to help as many developers as possible to improve their careers and reach the lifestyle they want. So that couldn't be reduced just to Spanish people. So besides,
I'm glad you've persisted. Your English is far better than my Spanish. Okay. Can you maybe now take us to your career highlight or greatest success and tell us about that?
My greatest achievement probably was to decide to start writing my blog, which has led me to a lot of amazing things I couldn't imagine at the beginning. Thanks to that blog, for instance, it opened the door for some jobs opportunities. And I also had a community around me that helped me do a successful launch of my book when I decided to launch it. And then also to be able to live on my own project as I'm doing right now. So again, I don't think that writing a blog should be the way to go for everyone, but because it depends on what you want to achieve. But I think it's one of the greatest tools to boost your career, and because it exposes your knowledge to the world, and if you do it correctly, it will give you a special place in the community, and of course, it will help you find more opportunities.
Yeah.
And also, as it has been mentioned several times here in this podcast, teaching others is the best way to learn, because you have to really master a topic and to be able to teach it. It can be articles, talks, but I always recommend people to teach what they learn, because that's a way to master the topic much better than if you just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yes. In terms of your book, do you know how many copies you've managed to sell or circulate?
It's like 6,000 or 7,000 copies, more or less.
Okay, well, that's pretty good going. Yes, very good. So, Antonio, what excites you about the future of the IT industry and careers in IT in particular?
Something that might seem a problem, the uncertainty is what leads me to continue working in the IT industry, because if we can even try to predict, it's impossible to know what's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years. So the only thing we know is that we need to learn new things and to adapt to the new circumstances. And I think that's really great for self-improvement, because we are naturally forced to get out of our comfort zone every few years, and I think that's great. It can be seen as a problem because we can never stop learning, but I think that if we are in this industry, we know how it is, and we are usually get bored pretty easily. So it's really good to always have new things to learn about and to enjoy, I think.
Okay. In terms of obviously mobile development in particular, that being one of your areas, is there anything you see in particular that's going to change, or you see any area that particularly interests you?
This is also a prediction that may not happen, but I think that in a few years we'll finally see some kind of hybrid solution that works in different platforms and that will be finally on pair with the current native solutions. And we could see that we finally have that technology that help us write things once and publish it everywhere.
Yes, that would be good, definitely. Okay, we're going to go into the reveal round now. We're going to find out a little bit more about you and the way you think. Are you ready for this?
Sure, let's go.
So what first attracted you to a career in IT?
Well, nothing in fact. I'm afraid when I had to decide what degree I would study, I didn't have a clear idea of what I wanted to do with my life. So computer science, for some reason, attracted me a little more than the rest of the options because I was curious about computers, how they worked, but I had never written a line of code, so I didn't know what to expect from it. But luckily, I found something that I enjoyed quite a lot. So yeah, it was a matter of luck, I think, but it was a good choice.
What is the best career advice you've ever received?
Well, I don't remember very specific things, to be honest, because I have a really bad memory. But I recently had one from my mentor that is very related to what we talked at the beginning. I was talking to him about my future and how to make my business grow. And I was starting to compare myself with other businesses that are miles away from mine, but also they have a very busy lives away from the related ones. And he reminded me something that we kind of talked before, that when you create your own business or you define your own career, you do it to live the life you want and not the one that the others are living, because each one has their own priorities and situations different from yours. So if you have to compare with someone, compare with a past version of yourself and look what you achieved to reach where you are now. That's the idea, right? That we don't need to compare with any other because each one is very different from each other, and just follow your path and enjoy the trip.
If you were to begin your IT career again right now, what would you do?
I would start with blogging and networking from the very beginning, even when at the beginning of my career, or even when studying the degree, because this ramps up the process in an unimaginable way. And in my case, that's what helped me the most. So now, seeing it in retrospective, I would start sooner with that, because yeah, I think it's really helpful.
And what career objectives are you currently focusing on?
My main goal right now is to make my business grow up so that I can have some recurring and predictable income. So this includes growing my audience for my current products, but also create new ones. And I'm currently thinking on a new training that will not be so related to Kotlin, but more focused on turning Android developer into Android engineers. But I can't say much more at the moment because I don't even have all the details myself.
Right.
But yeah, now now that Kotlin is widely adopted, I feel that I need to move to a more high level training, and that's my goal in the future.
Okay. And what's the number one non-technical skill that has helped you in your career so far?
I thought a little about this one, but I think it's self-knowledge, knowing what your fears are, your strengths, what's pushing you back to achieve what you want, and where that it's coming from will help you unleash all your power. And I think this is lifelong journey because you never stop learning about yourself and discovering new things. But in my opinion, it's the only way to feel happy with your life, no matter what's happening out there, without depending on other people's approval or acceptance. That's something that comes out pretty naturally for some people, but in my case, I have to work on it from time to time. And I think that also changed my life quite a lot.
Antonio, can you share a parting piece of career advice with the IT Career Energizer audience?
Yeah, just very quick. Don't push yourself too hard and enjoy the journey, and try to help and learn from everyone you find in your way. That's like a good summary of everything we talked today.
Indeed. And finally, what's the best way we can find out more about you and connect with you?
The easiest way is to go to antonioleiva.com. I have everything there. For your audience that is interested in learning Kotlin applied to Android, I prepared a training that they can join from antonioleiva.com/IT. So if they want some free training to start with Kotlin applied to Android development, they can go there and subscribe.
Great. Antonio, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a great pleasure, and I'm happy to be here today.
Well, I hope you enjoyed listening in to today's episode and to my guest career tips, advice and experiences. You'll find a show notes page for today's episode on the IT Career Energizer website, which will be itcareerenergizer.com/e and then the number of today's episode. And a quick reminder that the show has now 3 episodes every week on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. So make sure that you are subscribed to the show to get new episodes automatically downloaded. Also, don't forget to join the IT Career Energizer community Facebook group. You'll get to engage with other like-minded people, get to find out more about upcoming guests and other episodes, and can get involved in the future direction of the podcast. It really is a great pleasure to be able to talk to so many inspirational people from across the industry and to be able to share their stories and advice with you. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you're not growing your career, you're slowing your career.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.